back to you with some more stimulus updates, especially regarding the emergency injury disaster loan, $10,000 grant that we all have heard about. So there's some updates regarding that and some other updates regarding the stimulus package as it pertains to small business. So if you're catching this broadcast, welcome in. Please drop your comments, any questions that you may have. Please do share out this broadcast. Again, this is for small business entrepreneurs, 1099 solopreneurs, whatever you consider yourself. This is going to be important information for you. So just come on in and again, drop any questions that you may have. Before I start talking about the EIDL, I wanted to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program that's going to lead into that. So as we know, the SBA yesterday opened up the application process, or to start receiving applications from financial institutions, banks that had Paycheck Protection Program applications on hold while they were waiting for funding. So after the bill was put into place, they got the additional funding for the PPP program. They launched it yesterday, and guess what? It crashed, right? So they opened up at 10:30 a.m. It crashed because so many banks were submitting applications through to the program. And so if you looked at my previous broadcast, you heard me say how important it is that if you want to get in on these opportunities, you have to act quickly, because how it is right now is basically, first come, first serve, because there's so many entrepreneurs and business owners that are trying to get access to these loan programs and these grant programs. So the PPP is really to help sustain employment, right? So you as an employer. So this presents some challenges for some of us that are out here, that you have a business, you have legitimate expenses, you don't necessarily have employees, you may have contractors, right? So you're a business owner, say you're a salon shop, say you're a barber shop, like one of my networking buddies has a barber shop, and he doesn't have W-2 employees, he has contractors, so they're business owners themselves, they're entrepreneurs. So that means pretty much he does not get the maximum benefits from the program because he does not have employees, right? Or say there are startups, right? So again, these programs, you had to have your business operating before February the 15th. So say you're a startup business, you put all this money into it, all of a sudden you have a storefront that you're paying a lease on. You don't have employees yet because you're still in the startup process. And guess what? You don't get the full benefits because most of these programs are based on how many employees you have, right? So that's really a challenge for a lot of business owners that can't compete with those businesses that have, 50 employees or 100 employees or 200 employees. So that's why House Leader Pelosi wanted there to be money carved out, right, for small bank institutions, for businesses that have less employees, because that really puts us in a predicament, right? So you can still qualify for the PPP program, what I've explained to people, even if you don't have employees, because you're considered an employee of one. But again, that means that you are limited to the benefits, depending on how much you make, because the program allows for up to $100,000, right, of an employee's salary. Okay, so say your salary is $100,000, you're an employee of one, and you base your calculations on that. But you may not have a salary of 100,000, right? So if whether you do or whether you don't, you're still at the lower end of the pool of money that is available to you. So that's why there are additional options for you. But if you look in the description, I do have outlines of some places that you can go. So I do encourage you to just assess your situation and apply for these programs. Just apply, right? All they can say is no. So before, banks were, what they were doing is, a lot of them, especially the bigger banks, is they were shutting people out. So you apply, if you had 25, they say, we're not accepting any applications or processing if you had less than 25. Then they came back and said, if you have less than this or less than this. By that time, the money ran out, right? So apply to different places. And like I said, PayPal, Square, Intuit are some places that you can also go to if your bank is saying they're not processing any more applications, okay? So don't feel like that's your only resource. There are other places that you can go to apply. And what I explained to one of my colleagues yesterday is that if you're one of the ones that does not have employees, so you're a solopreneur, right? One of your best bets is to apply for unemployment. So I said this before. You can apply for unemployment now if your state has opened up that process for the pandemic unemployment program. Okay, so you apply for that. So if you apply, you get it, you're getting your unemployment money. Then once your PPP comes in, once you're funded, it's in your bank, then you need to withdraw from unemployment because you cannot get the two at the same time. But for those that really are at the lower end of the PPP, or maybe PPP does not fit you, apply for the unemployment benefits that you will get, okay? So that is going to be really important to you. So don't think, oh, I don't qualify regularly for unemployment because I'm not a W-2 worker. That does not matter. This is funded by the federal government. This includes you if you are 99, you're independent contractor, you're self-employed, solopreneur, sole proprietor, right? So if you fit any of those, this would apply to you if you were impacted by COVID-19. Okay, so with that said, I wanted to just go into the EIDL loan advance program. And so they also opened that back up, right? So if you had your application already in, so like I applied way back in March, so it's going on almost 30 days now, and mine hasn't come through, but I know some people that has because they are backlogged. My understanding is that they're 4 weeks behind on the applications that they already have, so that they have not opened up any more applications. But you still want to stay tuned, right? Tune into the SBA website. That's www.sba.gov to to see when they do open that up, if they do, because they were given an additional $60 billion, and an extra $10 billion for the advance. So say even if they open up the application process, they may not open up the opportunity for the advance. The advance is what? A grant, okay? Here's the thing, right? You remember in the beginning when we applied, they said, oh, this is a $10,000 grant, right? And it really it wasn't based on if you had employees or not, or how many employees you had. So what the SBA did was they decided, based on how many they were getting, they decided, first of all, to make it a first come, first serve basis. And then they decided to make it where it was based on how many employees you have, up to 10,000. So say you're a person like me, you're a business like me, I'm a solopreneur and I hire contractors. I don't have employees. I don't have W-2 workers. That means I qualify for 1,000, right? So I would still qualify and get the $1,000 grant. However, when they signed this into law, when they made a decision that they wanted these grants and the SBA to issue them within 3 days, the SBA did not apply it as it was supposed to be intended. It was intended not to be based on how many employees you have, because whether you have an employees or not, you still have expenses. You're still running the business. So what does that mean? You get shut out, you get lower amount because you don't have employees, right? And so when House Leader Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer last week sent a letter to the SBA letting them know that the grant was not intended for them to issue out based on employees. Everybody who applied, if you applied and your application was accepted, you were supposed to get $10,000 $10,000 in grant money, deposited in your account, right, within 3 days. So it was never intended for them to make the decision to just say, okay, we're just going to limit it to $1,000 per employee up into $10,000 worth of the grant. So the letter went out last week. The letter, you can also look at it, is in the description. I would highly recommend that you do. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. But if you have your application in, whether you got your grant or not, there is a possibility they may go back and retroact that money to you. It's possible, not a guarantee. But they made it very clear to the SBA that that's not how they intended it. They intended for you to get the full $10,000. Okay. So that's something to be aware of. So that's for all of those that have already submitted your application. You received, because I know some of you all said that you have received your EIDL loan and your advances, but there are many more that have not. But regardless, you already have your application in. And what they said is that what the SBA should have did, instead of taking it on their own to just ration it out, what they should have done was issue out the $10,000, then go back to them and request more funding. Okay, so that's how it should have worked. So I just wanted to provide you all with that update, because there was a lot of confusion. Like people, like even me, I was like, that's not what it said. They said 10,000, right? So that I wanted to clear that up for you, because if that's what you thought, you were correct. You were actually supposed to get $10,000. Okay, but with so many applications coming in, the SBA made that decision. Okay, they took that discretion on their own, but that is not how it was intended. So again, those who have their application in are still in process. You know, these funds go very quickly. And the thought is also that it should not be first come, first serve. Is if you submitted your application and you did it correctly and you qualify, you should get money. Okay. But unfortunately, that's not how it has worked. So there's been a lot of discussion back and forth with the powers that be. But when you look at the fact that these programs like PPP, that there were billion-dollar companies getting monies that now they're being asked to turn back over, right? And turn back over to the government. When they did that, that resulted in monies not going to the businesses in our communities that need it. And I'm talking about the small businesses. I'm talking about the mom and pop shops. I'm talking about, you know, the beauty salons, the barber shops, the businesses like mine, the solopreneur, those of us that host events for a living, right? And that's how we generate our revenue. Or those of us that are consultants, right? We don't have employees, but we have legitimate businesses that have been impacted, in which we have lost revenues into our business. So I would encourage you to be advocates, advocate for your fellow entrepreneurs and small business owners. If you tune into some of my previous lives, you see that I put like the link to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. They have a part of their website where you can put your information in and send a letter in one click to your representatives, your local representatives. You need to let them know, you know, that they need to take care of small business. This economy, this world is not going to work. It's not going to thrive. It's not going to survive if we do not take care of our small business owners. So they have to get it together. And what I appreciate is so many of us that are working together to share information and resources, you know, about other, you know, opportunities that are out there and what you can do to really survive in this time and really be able to thrive. So whether that means making a shift in your business, pivoting, other opportunities to access funds. It's not just funds at the federal level. Look to your state, look to your city, look to your county, look to private individuals, organizations, and companies that are getting on board to offer opportunities for grants, right? This is the best time to be able to do that. If you look on my timeline also, you will see that a fellow entrepreneur shared with me on my timeline from Essence, it was an Essence article. Dell is collaborating with the Association of Self-Employed Individuals. So if you're a member of the Association of Self-Employed, you can qualify for a $5,000 grant. So that is on my timeline. You can check that out and apply if you are a member. But there are so many other ones that are coming on board. So tune in, okay? So I come on with these updates regularly as, new things are happening, because things are changing every day. And there are still too many of us that are at a loss for our revenues and haven't been able to replenish them. We haven't gotten our PPP money. You haven't gotten your EIDL money. You haven't gotten your unemployment money. So in Ohio, the systems won't even be ready to mid-May, okay? So there are business owners out there that have been suffering, that have not been getting revenues since March, okay? So let's just be mindful of each other and empathetic and be willing to share. So again, if you come on here, please do share out this broadcast. If you have resources, please drop them in the comment, because I don't know everything. I haven't seen everything, but I research on a regular basis. Please do tune in. Also, you might want to register for the weekly town hall on Fridays at noon, that is held or hosted by Inc. and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. They also provide valuable information. You can also submit questions live to them during that webinar, and so they look at those and they can use that to gather data to then take it back to the government and say, hey, this is how small business owners are being affected. Because every day, like, I'm getting emails for surveys for them to gather information to see how I've been impacted, what resources would be most helpful for me as a business owner, so then they can use that and be able to help us provide more programs. So tune in also to your organizations like the SBA, the Urban League, the Women's Business Center, the Small Business Development Centers, right? They have resources that can help you. Just tune in, Google them, but they are open. They may work remotely, but they are on it. So if you need that help, tune in to those organizations and ask for help, and then be willing to be a helping hand for other people. So again, stay tuned for updates regarding the emergency injury disaster loan. They're processing applications that were already previously submitted 4 weeks behind. So they're not accepting applications, but check. I wouldn't say check more than daily, okay, on any of these programs, because you have to allow them time to process it. Again, check on the PPP program. Lenders are indicated in the description that you may want to pursue if you're not having success with your bank. You can apply with multiple institutions. You just can't get funding from multiple institutions. So once you're accepted by one, you're approved, they fund you, that's good, that's it. But apply to more than one if you're not having success with your bank, okay? Because again, the pool of money is limited, but who knows, they may, provide more money at a later date, but that's not a guarantee. So while the opportunities are here, you have to just go after it, okay? So those are the updates for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, share this out with other entrepreneurs and small business owners that need it. Again, continue to be blessed, continue to stay safe and in good health, and I will talk to you later when I have another update. Have a great day.